If you haven't figured out the point of The Last of Us, the zombies are not the danger, the humans are the danger.
Fair enough.
Drop your rifles, now!
Ellie goes out to find her and Joel some food. Joel has survived her rough stitching, but that cut is infected. She runs into some strangers that are acting real nice.
I was suspicious of those guys from the very jump. Like, they're acting nice in a way that's not nice at all.
My name's David. This is my friend James.
And what's creepy is, like, he is very charming. Like, I could understand of, like, how this man has built a following, why he has all these people in his church. If Ellie was not as smart as she is and hadn't been through everything that she had been through so far, I could have understood her being like, oh, thank God this man is here to help me. Like, we're saved. But she has her guard up, and rightfully so.
You're inviting me to your hunger club? Thanks.
He spends a lot of time with Ellie once he and his right-hand man, who is played by Troy Baker, famously Joel from the video games. But over the course of that exchange, he explained that the father that died...
Turns out he was murdered.
It sounds like the man that Joel killed while they were at the university and ran away from. And so they realize that Ellie and whoever she is trying to get this medicine for are the people that they want justice for this man that they killed.
I'm very curious of your take on this. I also get the vibes that, like, his own people don't trust Pastor David. Everything about that settlement just seems a little, like, tilted.
I sense doubt in there.
And it's threatening. Like, if you think that you're gonna leave, that's not happening.
But if anybody makes it down here, you fucking kill them.
Ellie tries to get Joel out, but she can't. So she's like, just stay here and be quiet. Here's a knife.
Hey, motherfuckers!
What this episode does so well is it flips the show on its head in that, like, Ellie has been this 14-year-old, has been through all this, but she's had Joel leading the way the entire show. This is the first time where she's taken the lead, and it's her who takes care of Joel. It's the first time I feel like we've actually seen Ellie be the badass warrior she is. When she eventually tells Joel the story of everything she did, he's gonna wish he could have seen her, like, become this person.
She is not able to fully get away. They do capture her. Ellie figures out that they're cannibals after she has been held captive, but there is a big hint about it. Prior to that, this whole town eats dinner together every night, and they're preparing the group dinner, and one of the dudes brings in this tray, and this girl looks at him and is like, what is that? And he's like, it's venison. And first of all, don't trust anybody. Secondly, have they brought the deer back yet? I don't think they have. And so then they serve the venison, and then Pastor David and Troy Baker come back in and be like, we have deer now. You're like, oh, what are they eating? And it's not confirmed until Ellie sees an ear later.
Here's my question. Ellie is we'll say an inexperienced hunter. How is it that she's able to bag a deer on her first ever hunting outing? And these people are in such a bad way unable to find not human meat that they have to resort to eating each other.
Well, you sort of kind of got me there.
You know what? We're going to change things up a little bit this week, and I think we should jump right into Megan's nightmare scene of the week right now, because it plays right into this point. I'm going to be fully honest. When I watched this episode the first time and I wrote down what my nightmare scene of the week was, I picked the final battle between Ellie and Pastor David. I was like, I guess that I'll talk about how stressful that was. Now blah, blah, blah. And then I went to bed that night. And as I was trying to go to bed, my brain was like, hey. Do you remember that 3-second shot of when Joel is looking for Ellie and he sees the decapitated bodies hanging in the warehouse? Do you remember that? Because I think we should think about that all night. The more I think about it, it's they have those are 3 grown men that are there, that are hanging up stored, right? So that to your point of why can't they go bag a deer? Why are they eating people? It's they're not just killing people as they need food or using people who have died and then eating them. They've killed people and they're storing the bodies to eat. So in advance.
Or alternatively, when people die, they're storing the bodies for future use, maybe because it's so cold. Maybe it stays cold enough that it preserves the I hate talking about this. I hate talking about, like, I almost said preserves the flesh, and I feel disgusting.
Why am I in a cage?
After Ellie gets captured, she is in this jail cell, and it turns out that, like, David doesn't want to adopt her. He doesn't want to bring her into the town. He wants to marry her?
Think of what we could do together, as strong as we are.
Yeah, big time child bride vibes. Uh-huh.
And then, like, also, like, give themselves over to the cordyceps. Like, he thinks the cordyceps have it figured out, man. And that's really the life. During the time that Ellie is captured and she's in this jail cell and she's dealing with David, Joel does start to wake up, and he handles the militia dude that are left in the suburbs looking for him, and he starts making his way to Ellie. I kept being like, when's Joel gonna show? Can Joel show up and save her? Can Joel show up and save her? Can Joel show up and save her? I would like Joel to show up and save her now, please. And on the one hand, like, he never does. She gets out of this situation completely on her own with no help from Joel.
It's wildly traumatic.
And so I'm like, at the one point, I'm glad for Ellie to have that moment in power. I was like, but also I was like, I would have really liked Joel to save her from any of this. Like,
yeah. But, like, even though he doesn't, like, we get to see Ellie continue to be the rock star superhero of the episode. David and one of his minions take her and throw her down on a table to butcher her, to make her into food. Instead, she grabs the butcher knife and buries it in David's minion's neck. And you just see it happen so quickly, Megan, that when I tell you, I went, oh! That was the noise that came out of me the first time I saw this. Because holy cow. And then it becomes her versus David, and, like, it results in burning down the restaurant in town. It really goes a long way to show you that the restaurant is attached to where the jail cells and people are. Ellie just bludgeons to death this man with the butcher knife. Just stab. Upon rewatching the episode, I noticed when she went out the back door of the burning place, she didn't close the door. And in my mind, I was like, oh my God, that fire is getting so much oxygen right now. This entire town is done. And that made me happy. And then Joel comes up behind her and she immediately wants to fight. She's screaming no. And then she realized who it was. And they hug.
It's okay, baby girl.
And, like, my heart broke.
Him calling her that, Ellie is now his surrogate daughter. That is official.
Yes,
they are officially
absolutely
family that is sealed in. I went back to the first episode and I checked what he said to Sarah after she had been shot. And baby girl is what he calls Sarah.
Come on, baby girl.
That's what he keeps saying, is baby girl, baby girl, baby girl over and over again. And so him calling Ellie that is like an official, like, admission that she has finally warmed the iced over Sarah part of his heart. He's now ready to take care of her in a way that I don't think he has allowed himself to want to take care of her until
Absolutely. Showing the strength of Ellie in this episode, I think, was incredibly important, and showing how far she's come from just being like a mouthy child to being the most powerful mouthy child on the planet.
Yes, it's not lost on me that Joel making this declaration of who Ellie is to him in this way that he has is crucially important as we head into what can only be handing her over to the Fireflies. I just, based on what happened with Henry and Sam, I do not think that finding a cure is going to be as simple as, like, some blood tests. Something very complicated is going to have to happen if Joel feels this way about her, and I don't think that getting the cure is going to be as simple as we thought it was.
And that's exactly it. Like, Ellie is everything to him, and I would argue that Joel is everything to Ellie at this point, because, like, they are all that they have.
We should bring it back to a happier mood with Chris. What is your Ellie's Curse of the Week?
The setup is so silly, Megan. David has Ellie in a jail cell and says, "Don't judge me." Bro, she's your prisoner. She's going to judge you. And she says, "Judge you?
You're eating people, you sick!"
And that's my heart. We obviously know what's going on. It's been spelled out at this point. This is the first time it's really, like, audibly addressed. And honestly, it's so good because of what comes after when Ellie destroys these people.
We now head to Salt Lake City for what can only imagine to be a super heartwarming, joyous, everybody gets a happily ever after finale. I can't imagine the show doing anything else but giving us everything that we could hope for. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. This has been episode 8 of The Chat With Us. We will be back one more time next week for episode 9. If you want to hang out with us again, click subscribe, hit some likes, throw us some love in the comments, and we'll see you next week.